does anyone have any questions that you want to tackle first? And I'm going to keep a list because y'all have been bringing the heat lately, and I always end up leaving sessions with questions that I have to research. So I'm going to prep my little.
Yes, I have a question whenever.
All right, Robin, let's go.
How's it going?
Good.
Okay, so I have a new client that came to me this last month, and when all the pieces fit together, it looks like they have not filed taxes for years and years,
Mhm.
and they want to be able to sleep at night, essentially. So they are going to have approximately $500,000 tax liability for 2021.
Ouch.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, with non-filing payment, all these things, um, they wanted to know what, like, once we file this return and then IRS processes it, will that be like escalated on somebody's desk to holy cow, these people owe 600,000, whatever the dollar figure is. I wanted to just kind of understand if you knew what the IRS process is for something like that, or if anyone on the call knows that has had
Yeah,
the
if
sort.
anyone wants to jump in on this, please do. I will say right now, things at the IRS aren't even operating according to normal processes. So even if we used to know how it works, I don't know that we would know how it's working right now with all the cuts and all the layoffs and all the other stuff. But does anyone have any experience with this level? It's so crazy to me that somebody can be making that much money and they're just like, yeah, I'm just not going to file. That's cool.
Well, at least he's trying to do the right thing now.
Absolutely.
But
So
yeah,
yes, so I'm not sure what the timeline would be. I would imagine because I think the first few steps of collections are the same for everyone. You know, the notice with the balance due is going to go out. They're going to be invited to maybe apply for a payment plan. I'm not exactly sure though. I've never had someone owe that much money. I will say, um, it'll be like super critical to get that return filed because in addition to everything else, they've got failure to file penalties plus
yep.
failure to pay penalties. So the sooner that return gets filed, the better. But I'm not sure. Nguyen's asked if something like this qualifies for tax abatement. Well, that really depends on their situation. If they're making that much money, odds are they have enough assets or whatever to not qualify for OIC. There is no tax abatement.
What does OIC stand for?
Offer and compromise. And I think maybe Nguyen's is asking about first time abatement.
Yep.
Um, if they've never had abatement before, you can try for first time abatement, but that's going to require that they are fully caught up. I don't think you can request first time abatement if the subsequent returns are not filed. So they'll have to be fully compliant. And then you could potentially request first time abatement, which would abate the penalties, not the interest, but it could abate the penalties.
Right.
Felicia
My
said still
plan
follows the
is
same process of notices regardless of the amount.
My plan would be to kind of get 2021 done, 2022 done, all the years to date, and then just like push them all in at the
Mhm.
same time. So that we could, well, first I need to see like, I don't even know what's happening in 2023 if they had the same situation, right? Like, are we going to be, I don't think that's the case. I think there was 21 was the big year, and then they used all these funds to fund businesses, yada, yada. But if I file them all then, and then, yes, I would hope to get a first time abatement on some of these non-filing penalties. I just didn't know if there were different buckets that the IRS put people in, like, okay, you owe 100 grand, you're here. Oh, you owe $500,000, you're here. And I didn't know if anyone had any experience with that.
I don't think so because it's not entirely uncommon for people to owe $500,000. It sounds crazy to me, and I don't deal
Right.
with that level of client, but there are, hundreds of thousands of Americans who make enough money to be in that liability situation. So I don't think it puts them in a separate bucket. I think it's going to follow the same notice progression that it would for anyone else.
Okay.
Um, I
Does anyone else
also,
have any experience with this on the call?
Robin, hi, it's Felicia.
Hi.
Yeah, so to amplify um what was just said, and as I stated in the chat, regardless of the amount that owes, it still progresses through the same process of the notices, um, and they send notices. It's like a cadence that they send them. Like every 30 days, they'll get one notice. They don't respond or they don't take action. They'll get the next one, and it'll just continue to progress depending on the response or lack thereof of response. The key here is, now I'm not sure if they're in a position to pay off the entire amount at this time, but the key
No.
would be to ensure that all of the returns are filed, because even before the IRS will begin to discuss any type of installment agreements or anything of that nature, all the returns will need to be filed before that process happens.
Got it. So my plan to kind of get everything in at once, so that what I would hate to do is get 21 in and then not be able to get them on a payment plan because they haven't gotten me all this information for
Yes.
22 and 23. Okay.
And then they are at the level, even with the 1 year that's completed, with the liability that you're saying that is showing, they will need to go through financials. They will need to produce, financial information, and you have to be, very strategic and how the strategic and accurate with how you're filling out the 433, because that's ultimately what they'll use to either set up the installment agreement. And then, you can normally set that up um, on a call, but sometimes they may progress you to a RO,
To what? I'm sorry.
to a revenue officer. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're
Because when
fine.
you call over the phone, you're just talking to an agent, like a customer service type agent for collections, but it could progress to a revenue officer. And once it progresses to a revenue officer, it gets a lot more intense.
Okay. Okay.
So
And
I
I
hope
think,
that helps.
yeah, and you'll need to know the total balance owed for all of those years when you do the installment agreement because they're just going to get all lumped together.
Yes,
Okay. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate that.
you're welcome.
I have a
Ooh,
quick
I'm just
question.
curious,
Oh,
what led in 2021 to them having such a high tax liability?
He had an exit from a company that he worked
That'll
for.
do it. Okay. That makes sense.
a quick question. So to recap, you just file them all at once, or you put them all in the system and then you process them all at once. Is that the game plan?
You
I
don't.
heard.
They have to. You don't have to process them all at once, but before you're able to even begin to discuss any type of installment, payment plan with them, they're gonna require that all missing returns, all outstanding returns are filed before they'll even have that discussion with you. Now, and let's say you file one, but you're still working on the other two or three or how many ever, and they start sending notices for the one that was submitted, you can call and ask for a hold, and say, the client is working on getting the other, getting in compliance, and ask them to give you a little time um, to get those returns completed.
Now I'm
Got it.
curious,
Thank you.
Robin, 2021 has to be paper filed, but 2022 through 2024 could be e-filed. Is that your plan, or are you planning to paper file all of them?
I actually haven't thought about that. I guess I would probably e-file 20. I would probably e-file 22 and 23. Like I said, I don't think that there shouldn't be tax liability at all for those years, from what I'm understanding of this kind of story that I'm piecing together. So, I probably would just mail that in. I would just kind of, within a few days or something, or months or a month. Within a month, I would try to get them all filed.
Yeah, and you could have them take the 2021 return to an IRS office and have it stamped instead of
Got it.
mailing it in, which would speed up the processing a little bit, I think.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
everyone, really appreciate your help. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. We really hope this session was helpful for you. If you enjoyed this and want more support on your tax professional journey, consider joining one of our Pronto Tax School memberships. As a member, you get to join weekly live mentor sessions just like this, access tons of advanced tax courses, be part of our private member groups, which is great for networking, grab special discounts for our live events, and even get tax business growth coaching. There's a lot packed in. Check out the links in the description to see the details for our Dream Team and Forever Edition memberships. We'd love to have you join our community.